to Unity Spiritual Center, where we inspire and empower personal transformation. It's wonderful to see you all here this morning, and I don't know about you, but I heard the noise of a train in my meditation time. And so I think Spirit is taking us on a journey this morning. And so I invite you along for the ride. This week we will explore part 2 of our series on what it is to be a supercharged community, a spiritually charged community. So the word that comes to my mind when I'm thinking about what is it when Spirit is alive and electric, I, of course, think of the word supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Affirm that with me. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I won't ask for a show of hands that could actually get that out. We can practice that later. Yes, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That's what it is, how I would describe a spiritual community that is exciting and vibrant. The one that is excelling at the 4 S's that we talked about last week: spirit, social, skills, and service. It's exciting just to even think about it. Ideally, every community is an expanding and growing and thriving community. A community itself is a living, organic system that has edges that are constantly in motion and flux, expanding and contracting. It's got a breath and a life all to its own. When it is in the evolution and transformation process, we call that growth. And when it's in the not evolving, not expanding energy, we call that stagnation. Church consultants that I've worked with over my many years in Unity have a habit of calling that decline. Our leadership here at Unity Spiritual Center has learned a lot about the psychology of group dynamics and the ebb and flow of community and the psychology behind growth and decline this summer. I required them to read and discuss an amazing book that, as a ministerial student, you're required to read. So we share the love with our boards. This book is called The Autopsy of a Deceased Church. 12 Ways to Keep Yours Alive, by church consultant Tom Rainer. So with the leadership now having a new perspective and getting over the shock in the title alone, we were able to explore what is the conscious and subconscious beliefs and behaviors that feed into growth or decline. And so as a group, we asked ourselves the hard questions. Through education and dialogue, we took a long, hard look at ourself individually and ourself as a collective community. And we looked at what is the group awareness, the attitude, the behavior, both conscious and subconscious, our habits. Yes, we have habits as a community. Our history, and our current trajectory. We're like a rocket. The direction of which we go is our choice. So if you're interested in reading this book, I could give you a copy. I am happy to share these types of things, and you can ask the board and the chaplains and our youth director and our music director and our licensed teachers. We have had an exciting summer, and now I'm sharing with you. Because technically, this was step one in what I would call community reality check. Don't you just love when spirit hits you upside the 2x4? And it's just like, oh, must be time for a reality check. So breathing into the word autopsy in regard to our spiritual community, I invite you to recognize whether or not the title of this book has triggered you. Not many people like to talk about death, let alone autopsy. But you know I'm not your normal kind of gal. Because there's so much valuable information in the 12 ways to keep yours alive part. They put that small on purpose. Make it get past the original title. So if you have a button that may have gotten pushed in the first 2 minutes of my talk, let me tell you. Breathe into that. Because what I want you to be aware of is that that button that may or may not have been pushed is hardwired to a belief, probably subconscious belief. You know how I love to point those out. A belief in there is not enough. Buzz, pushed. So when we have a belief in not enough anything, not enough time, not enough money, not enough chocolate, I don't know. When we have a belief in not enough anything, unity principle number 3 tells us that we create what? Not enough. Everywhere. That's what we do. We're magnetic beings. We create in our life what we think about. What we think about, we bring about. So, we get to choose to either live or not from a place of not enough. And what I've learned in my short 1 year here is that this belief in not enough has been a belief for 10, 12 years now. Yeah. Fascinating stuff, what you learn when you read. And the board will get to share about that later this afternoon, so I won't steal their thunder. My invitation to each of you is to shift your consciousness and beliefs just 2 degrees, only 2, not 22, only 2, into a place of more than enough. Tell your neighbor there's more than enough right now. Tell your neighbor there's more than enough, more than enough, more than enough. We have more than enough. Doesn't that feel good? We have more than enough. Yes. So our intention here at Unity Spiritual Center is to be known in the outer community as vibrant and welcoming. A community that lives our belief statements. We want to live the statement of inclusivity. We want people to know that God and unity leave no one out. We've heard this from newcomers. Oh my God, y'all are so friendly. How did that happen? They've been other places and that's not been their experience. You are so amazingly loving. What a gift to the world. We have more than enough love for this whole town, for this whole panhandle. We can be on fire. So let me tell you how that works. Growth in church growth classes, seminars, workshops, growth doesn't happen by just filling the empty seat that may be next to you. No, that is a myth. It's a well-believed myth, but it is a myth nonetheless. Growth happens through consciousness. Growth happens through integrity. Growth happens when you and I are walking our talk each and every single day, here and outside when none of your Unity friends are watching. Yeah. Busted big time. So for us to be known in the community for who we choose to be, we want to be the community where its participants are growing and expanding in spiritual consciousness, in spiritual understanding, in meditation and prayer practices. We want awakened truth to be a part of our regular daily experience. May I have an amen? All right, I just thought I'd check and make sure you're all listening. We want to be in the world and not of it. Have you heard that before? We want to show up with an open mind and an open heart to everyone. And we do that really well most of the time. But are we as a community hiding our light under a bushel basket? You can ponder that. And so as we shift our consciousness just 2 degrees, I'm going to invite you to stand in a new belief of there is more than enough. What? Yes. There is more than enough time, more than enough money, more than enough volunteers down in the youth wing. There are more than enough. There's more than enough chairs stacked up over there to spread out. Amen. And so what that means to me is that we can have it all. We can walk into this sanctuary and share our light, share our love, and know that there is more than enough. We can walk out of this sanctuary and share our light and share our love and know that there is more than enough. Yes. You guys are such quick learners. I love this. And because you are here today and your soul is in the right place at the right time, what I take from that is your soul has signed up to be here now, to awaken to the fact that there is more than enough. Yes. Congratulations. You're supposed to be here. So at the meeting later today, I have a survey specifically for those of you who are on fire about living with more than enough. Excellent. So just real quick, for those who weren't here last week, since this is a continuation, I want to review quickly the 4 S's of community: spirit, social, service, and skills. So knowing that spirit is the foundation of our work here, personally, it is the I consciousness for each of us. It is our personal experience. And when we come together, we offer a spiritual experience and a way to study in a deeper way universal truth. Universal truth. We're all about that. It's for us to awaken to the inner divine. Unity principle number 2. Then we move on to social. This is the we consciousness, where we come together in community, where we get to participate in celebrating God, not only God in me and you, but God in everyone. We get to look in the eyes of another human being and say, hey, namaste. I see the God in you. We get to practice that. And the more practice you do, the easier it is when you're seeing someone who is not expressing from their God self. Because sometimes we forget, don't we? I've forgotten. Rob reminds me. It's the beautiful thing about relationship. But we're all in relationship together. And so we have the opportunity to remind one another. That's the beauty of we. And then we go into skills. It's an it consciousness. What is it that I can share with the community? What do I have to give? How can I participate more? In what way is it of value? Do I need to practice it? Do I need to learn it? Do I need to share it? And the answer is yes to all of the above. And then we have service. This is the it's consciousness. It's when we come together in community to be a part of the greater outer community. It's when we go and show up in the world to live our vision, which I've sung many times. We all know that to be the co-creating a world that works for all. So it's our volunteerism, showing up. My training for a licensed teacher was suit up, show up, and serve. That was my second minister. He trained us well. Just show up. Figure out on the spot, how can you give of your light, your love, your peace, your joy? Spirit will tell you when you get there. You don't need to know ahead of time. So when we serve others, whether it's in-reach, enter the community, outreach, outside of the community, any of the service projects that we share our light, our love, and our energy to accomplish good, we are living from the it's consciousness. We're sharing it. So one of the ways we individually and collectively as a community accomplish all of those things is by recognizing the who, what, and where of the source. Who, what, and where of source. The metaphysical meaning of source and the source of all good is God is the source of all good. All good flows to us from God through love and grace, as written by Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, in his book, Revealing Word. So, let's breathe into that. Okay, God is the source. Unity principle number 2 says that God's source is within each of us. And so that also must mean that I am and you are the source of good in our world. Breathing. Breathing in, I am, you are the source of all good. Okay. That also means that as the source, you and I get to control the flow of love and all good. Sorry, I was fishing. That's what I do with the children's book on fishing. We are the flow of all good in the world. I'm the source. You're the source of all good. You control its flow. If you don't believe me, just look around you. Look at your life. Look at how blessed you are in so many ways. Look at this community. You all created it in multiple ways, whether you've been here a day, a year, 10 years, or more. You create this experience by showing up, suiting up, and serving. You create this experience by volunteering of your time. You create this experience by giving of your financial resources. You create this experience by sharing your energy and your love. You. And so you have done that from a belief that there is more than enough. Otherwise, this place, this community would not exist. So you get to examine in your own life, do I want to live in more than enough or not enough? Oh, let's test that again. More than enough or no, not enough. So I'm going to invite you to affirm with me this statement. Oh, it's I. There's an I in front of there. I am a source of good. Good flows from me to prosper and flourish all that I value as good. Again, I am a source of good. Good flows through me to prosper and flourish all that I value as good. Yes. How did that feel? I love when you all giggle. This is being in the flow. We talk about being in the flow. We like being in the flow. We're not so fond about when we're not in the flow. I've heard a lot about that from time to time. So we work to be in the flow. So how is it that we can be in the flow more? Well, simple. You recognize that you are the source of continued good moving through you. You are a channel of good. You are a channel of love. You are a channel of prosperity. You are a channel of well-being. It's got to flow. And when you're the cork in the bottle, it ain't flowing. Yeah. So, as the source, you get to practice the flow. There have been countless classes and seminars and workshops and retreats and rallies and ministers' conferences. I'll be going to one in a few weeks. But over 20 years now, there has been a common thread through the Unity consultant and educational specialists and the trainers. And they are moving into the direction of ministry sustainability. We all know what sustainability is. We are holding a vision for sustainability, not only for ourselves individually, ourselves as a community, and the world. Would you not agree? So in ministry sustainability, the consultants have shared that our tithing practices must also grow and evolve and expand and transform in order for ministries to grow and expand and evolve and transform. It goes hand in hand. So on our conscious evolution of moving forward with the practical teachings of New Thought, we must also move forward with our prosperity principles. So basically what the consultants have shared is that we cannot continue to tithe as we did generations ago. There's actually books about it that we get to read. This one's called Not Your Parents' Offering Plate. For some of you who are retired, consider the evolution of what your parents donated to their church community to make it sustainable, and what we as the current generation of 2017 need to do in order for us to be sustainable. We have taught that tithing is a donation of our time and talent and treasure, and yes, that is absolutely true. However, in the past, the place in consciousness from which you have tithed has also affected the flow. For example, we've all been here. I just get to be the brave one to tell you about it. So, if you have ever given of your time, talent, and treasure from a mindset of fear, not enough, or a belief in punishment because you may have been raised in a faith tradition that says you're going straight to hell unless you put some money in the basket. Yeah, I'm sure a few of you have heard that over time. A belief in obligation, a belief in sin, a belief that all must pay the tax. We've heard all these things, those of us who are old enough. All of that energy is surrounded by the belief of there is not enough. Do you not agree? Have you all been there? Yeah, unfortunately I have too. That's why I know of it so intimately. And I am able to shift my consciousness, my habits and behaviors 2 degrees to then give of my time, talent, treasure, and resources from a place of there is always enough. I have proven to myself in my own personal life time and time and time again, the universe has got my back. I don't know how it happens, but I trust that it does because it has. And so tithing from an evolved and transformed consciousness, what we do when we give of our time, talent, and treasure from the mindset of there is always enough, there is more than enough even, it shifts the energy. It's enough and more. So as we, as a community, learn to give as the source, we move into this consciousness and this behavior and mindset to create a new habit of giving from there is more than enough. This is the belief that Unity Spiritual Center in Panama City and all of them across the globe need to be foundational in our premise. We have great principles, teachings that the world embraces, and yet this is where many Unity churches challenge themselves and must strive to shift just 2 degrees. And so as you give as the source, you become the source of life for whatever it is you value, which is why we talked about that last week, having the time to pray and meditate about what it is you value. So you tithe to what you want to live, whether it's Unity, whether it's Greenpeace, whether it's your favorite politician, doesn't matter. You are giving to what you value. You have the opportunity to breathe life into the dust like the Creator breathed life into Adam. You are the source of growth or decline by what you value. You are the source of time and energy and love through giving. You are the source of expansion, evolution, and transformation. You are the source. Because what you give to expands and grows. The law of mind action. Each individual here and those on our online community who contributes to the community that is us. The we in the quadrants. And so I ask yourself first, what is it that you value? You need to decide for yourself. And if you weren't here last week, you can listen to last week's talk and then meditate on what it is so you know in your heart of hearts what that is. And then second, ask yourself, what is my contribution? Am I sharing of my time, my talent, my love, my energy, my financial resources? Am I tipping? Am I tithing? Am I supporting? Am I hindering? Am I sabotaging? Am I now triggered by the fact that she's talking about money in such a direct way? You get to look at all of these things for yourself. I've been working on it all week just to prepare to be here this morning. We go through this together. And you need to look at the core of your beliefs to decide for yourself, are you going to walk through life with the belief that there is not enough, or a belief in there is more than enough for all? Is the glass half empty, or is it half full? The awakened life in new thought requires us to examine our thoughts, our beliefs, our habits, to ask ourselves, am I growing beyond my old beliefs? I'd like to think so. But once in a while, I get to revisit, and as do you. So I'll leave you with the metaphysical meaning of prosperity. Prosperity is the consciousness of God as the abundant, everywhere present resource, unfailing, ready for all who open themselves to it through faith. Faith. And so, in what have you placed your faith? Affirm with me, if you can, in honesty, that I am the source of good. Good flows from me to prosper and flourish all that I value as good. Again, I am the source of good. Good flows from me to prosper and flourish all that I value as good. And so it is. Namaste.